It is a snowy February day here in southern Iowa, and today I am going to be making some cute little vinyl window pouches that I need actually for my sock knitting. I'm going to put my yarn balls, my cakes, down in these bags and my pattern, and use them for project bags for my knitting, my sock knitting. And so I'm going to take you along with me today on this journey, and we're going to do a little tutorial on how to make the what's in your bag pattern. And I want to express how deeply grateful I am to the Stitchin Sisters company for giving me permission to share their pattern with you. Today we're going to be putting together a cute little bag that has a see-through pocket on the front, and we're going to be able to have some fun with this because we're going to do some free motion quilting on the back. This is just a cute little bag, and the back of this bag will be a great place to practice and kind of get your feet wet using the BSR if you want to. And you can also do straight line quilting if you want to, or no quilting if you don't want to put any quilting on. So I have cut out my pieces. I can't give you any measurements. You'll have to purchase the pattern from Stitchin Sisters, and you can find them online, and I think quite a few of their patterns. It is stitchinsist.com. You can go there and get the pattern, and these are what you're going to need. This is fat quarter friendly, and 2 fat quarters will make 2 bags. So you're going to need some clear vinyl. What I have is 12 gauge. I left the paper on the back of it so that you could see it a little better. I like 12 gauge vinyl for bag making. You're going to need a couple of zippers. I've already made one bag, so this is going to be my second bag. So here's my zipper and zipper pull, and I use zipper by the yard. And you're going to need some fusible fleece, although mine is not fusible. It works just as well. And thread. You'll probably need some rulers and your rotary cutter and some clips. Your Bernina stitch regulator. And this is what I cut out for the handle on my bag. And I'm going to back it with some SF101. So I have just a little scrap of SF101. And this wasn't suggested in the pattern, but to me, this quilt cotton is just a little bit too light without some stability and interfacing. So that's what I did, was I went ahead and backed it with SF101. Okay, we're getting ready to get started here. So I've done my little handle first. And it's just, I went ahead and put the interfacing on, folded it in half, and then folded both of the edges into the center and pressed it really well. So now I'm going to take it to the machine, and I will top stitch this 1/8 of an inch down each side. And then when I get that done, I'll just kind of set it aside. I don't need it just yet. And I'm going to go ahead and put the front of my bag together with the window. So get your bottom and the fleece, top and the fleece, and the 2 sides and the fleece, and your little vinyl window ready. And we'll put together this vinyl window front piece for your little zipper bag. Okay, we're going to go ahead and sew our little front together for our bag with the little window. So we're going to take our piece of vinyl And I have folded and pressed all 4 pieces right sides together. And I'm using a print that is directional. And I want to make sure all my Eiffel Towers go the right direction in my writing. So I'm going to slide my little piece of vinyl right in there. And I'm going to call this edge my top. This edge will be the bottom. And this piece of vinyl I will put on this side and clip this. And we are going to sew right down here and right down here at 1/4 of an inch. And then we're going to put we'll put our fleece in. And I've cut my pieces of fleece a little large. I wanted to be sure and have plenty, so I will probably be doing some trimming, but that's the way the pattern instructs. So let's go and I'll stitch these, and we'll come back, and the next thing we're going to do is the top, and we're going to do it the very same way, and then the bottom, and we'll do it the very same way. Okay? In this case, there's enough fabric on the back here that we won't have any trouble with the vinyl dragging on the bed of the machine. But when we go and top stitch this, I'm going to use that little piece of paper that was on the back of my vinyl, and I'll use it to keep it. I'll put it under here and use it to keep this from sticking to the bed of my machine. But for now, let's just do a 1/4 inch seam. I have my 37D foot on. I'm using Aurifil cotton thread, 50 weight, in the bobbin and my top thread. I'm not going to backstitch. I don't think we need to, because the seams are going to be crossed over. Let's see, 37D foot, and of course whenever you use a D foot on your Bernina, you would engage the dual feed. Now there's one side done. I like to trim my threads up. Good. And get those out of the way. I don't like my work to look messy, even when it's in progress, so I'm constantly trimming threads. Okay, here we go, down the other side. And I'm just using the edge of my 37D foot because it's exactly 1/4 of an inch on both sides, actually. Okay, there's that. So now we're going to top stitch these guys. And I'm using kind of a peach color of thread, so it's going to blend pretty good. But the way I do this is I pull the back one down, then I pull the front one down, finger pressing after each fold, because that back one, it would like to be a little ornery and fold in the wrong place if you're not watching it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and top stitch this. We'll see if my vinyl drags. I hope it doesn't. I don't think it will, but if it does, I'll put the paper underneath the vinyl. And I'm going to use 1/8 of an inch seam allowance for this. I'll try to show you. This would be 1/4 of an inch here. Right in this little notch right here is 1/8 of an inch. And right along this edge back to the needle is a 1/16 of an inch. So I'm going to do 1/8 of an inch top stitching, and then we'll be ready to put our, it is going to stick. I see with the first couple of stitches that it doesn't want to move, so I'm going to hold it up a little bit. There we go. Go and just hold it up. But I'm not pulling on it though, because I don't want to move it very much. Alright. There we go. Trim. And we'll go down the other side. There we are. We've got our top stitching all done. We'll go put the top and the bottom on now. Okay, I've got my top and bottom on. I'll put them on the very same way that I did the sides, and we're going to just do the very same thing. And we're going to stitch these on, making sure that the vinyl stays up in the fold at 1/4 of an inch. And we'll just take off down through here. And get this on, and then we're about ready to put our fleece in, which I just laid mine in there and it stayed just fine. If you want to, you can make sure that your fleece is cut a little bit smaller so that it's outside the seam allowances, but it's okay if you don't. I've made this little bag several times and it's okay both ways. Okay, I'll do the other side. You don't want to get thread nests on the back, so hold your threads, start on the fabric, you'll be just fine. There we go. So we have the top and bottom on for our little front window, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the sides. I'm going to pull the back down and make sure that it's right up against the stitching and give it a finger press. And then I'll fold the top over, give it a finger press, and that way they both lay right on top of each other, which is awfully nice. Then I'm going to go ahead and just clip them here. Give them a clip to hold them in place. Same thing on the bottom. Pull down and make sure it doesn't have a little fold or tuck or anything in it. And here is the front window panel of my little bag. And I'm going to go ahead and top stitch just like I did on the sides. I'll top stitch. And the next thing we're going to do is slip our fleece in here, and then we'll start on the zipper tabs that we're going to put on each end of our zipper, and get our zipper measured so that we have it the right measurement. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, it's ready to start working on our zipper. That's cute. Very cute. I like it. So I'm putting in my fleece, and I've trimmed it down so that it'll fit in there this way. I did leave a little extra hanging out, which I kind of wanted that till I got it all together. And I'm just going to put my fleece in with tweezers, one corner at a time, and just lay it in there, and I can kind of see that it's up in there. And then I'll do this corner. And it's laying in there pretty nice. There we go. So give it a little adjustment here so that it lays nice and flat. Make sure that I'm happy with it. And there it is. Then I'm going to put a little pin in there to hold it. Steady. And then the top and bottom, they're easy. You just lay them in there. And you could lay the side ones in before you do the stitching on this top. But, you know, you'll have some batting in your seam here if you do that. And that's okay too. Okay, and there's that one. And let's put this one in. Let's go look and see if I've got a smaller. I think I do have a smaller piece of fleece. That way I don't waste anything. And this top up here is what's going to go against our zipper. So it won't hurt anything at all if it doesn't have a lot of fleece in the seam allowance. And I went ahead and top stitched my, let's see, which one do I want to be the front? Oh, I want this one because it's got the Eiffel Towers on it. Went ahead and top stitched my handle, and it goes right here. I'll just clip it there, but then I will baste it. I'll baste it on there. Okay, well, next is we're going to work on our zipper. We're going to be putting our zipper pull on and getting our zipper measured and getting it onto the bag. Well, we're ready to work on our zipper. So let's put our zipper pull on. That's always the first thing we want to do. We want the front of the zipper to go toward the left on our bag. So you can see this flat side, that's the back. This is the front, the little rounded nose looking end. And I usually just put the zipper in there, then I lay it down and give it a push. And it comes usually right on. I got to just get a hold of it here. I've got no strength in my fingers today. There we go. So I'm going to pull it down, oh, probably to the middle. The middle is good. And you want your zipper to be 1 inch shorter than the top measurement of your bag across the top. So I've measured that, and in the pattern it will tell you. I can't really give you any more information because you have to buy the pattern. And these zipper tapes, they're always a little bit tricky. They want to ravel on you, so I usually give them a little toast. There we go. Okay, and I got it turned the right way. Very good. So now what we need is, here it is. We need our little zipper ends that are going to go on the end of the zipper. And so I'm needing to go and press this with a little bit of best press. And when I do that, I'll press it in half, press the sides in, just like we did for the handle. And end, and do it this way. Then this is enough for both ends. So after we get it all starched and pressed, we'll put it in here, and we'll stitch across here right on this edge, pretty close to the edge. You could do 1/8 of an inch, but I'm going to try to get closer than that. Then I'll trim it, and what's left I'll put on the other end. So I'm going to go do that. I've got this pressed and getting ready to sew it on there, and I am going to use this one, but I wanted to show you that if you're a lot of us are bag makers, and if you have scraps of vinyl or cork or leather, you can certainly just use a scrap of vinyl or whatever you've got leftover scraps and just stitch across here, and then you don't have to fold it again, and the edges will be just fine because they'll never ravel. So you would cut a piece that was, the right size. I've just folded this over to show you, but just another option. Kind of pretty and very durable. Okay, I'm going to go put this on, and I'm just going to top stitch across here, real close to the edge. I'll be back and we'll put this zipper on the front of our bag. Alrighty, got my little zipper ends on, and once you get them on, I've already trimmed this side. Well, we'll go ahead and trim this one so that they are even with the sides of the zipper. And now we need to find the center of the zipper. I'll just use my little friction pin. And this zipper, I'm pretty sure that I got it from a place called My Handmade Space. I believe they are on Etsy. But they sell awesome zippers and handbag hardware too. Okay, let's find the center of our top up here, because we're going to need that too. So we'll center that, get that, so we can line our zipper up. Whoops. Alright, that's close enough. Okay, so we got that. So here's a little trick. Now, it didn't say to do this in the pattern, but I just about have to, because I don't want my zipper tape to show. So treat this back lining as though it is a facing, and fold it back down out of the way. Get it back out of the way. Okay, now remember, we said we wanted our zipper to open from the left. All bags and suitcases and all those kind of things that have just one zipper. I mean, sometimes there are two zippers, but if they have just one, they always open from the left. So we want this roundy end that we talked about pointing toward the left. So here's my center, and I'm going to put my zipper down, facing down, because when it's, when the bag is finished, the zipper has to be, whoops, I'm going to put that on right side up. The zipper has to be pointing up. So it will look like this. And your facing is going to be back out of the way, and just to make sure that we don't catch it, let's just clip it. We'll just clip it to another part of the bag just so it'll stay out of the way. And if you do happen to stitch on your fleece, it's okay. It'll hold it in place. That'll be all right. We need it to be pretty stable anyway. So now we're going to go and we're going to stitch this zipper on at 1/4 of an inch from edge to edge, all the way. So I'll go sew this zipper on at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and I'm just going to use my 37D foot because this is a number 5 size zipper, and I have plenty of room on the zipper tape that I don't have to use a zipper foot. So I'll go sew this down, be right back. Okay, that looks really nice. So I'm going to just kind of finger press this a little bit, and then on the back I'm going to take my facing and bring it up and make sure everything is nice and flat, and then I'm going to put a little fold in it right here and put it just over that seam line and pin it. And I'll do this all the way across. And this will cover the raw edge of your zipper tape when you top stitch. This will all be covered and it'll be nice. I mean, nobody's ever going to see it because it's going to be on the inside of the bag, but it's, I don't know, just makes you feel a little better about the kind of job that you're doing on your sewing project. It does me. I want it to be nice inside and out. Okay, there we go. I've got it all pinned, and so now I'm going to go ahead and top stitch, and I'll top stitch from the right side. But since I have folded this just beyond my stitching line on my zipper, there's a thread from the fabric, I know that it'll look real nice and it'll catch all the way across. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and top stitch this and make it look really pretty. Here we go. Let's get this out of the way. All right, and I'm going to do this at 1/8 of an inch. Let me get under here just a little better. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to drop my needle, take a couple stitches, and I'm going to get my stylus because I'm going to need it. And there are all my pin heads going the right way, so I can take my pins out before I run over them. So you have to remember to reach under, take your pins out. And you should be, you know, I see a little shiny place here, so I know I'm coming to a pin. Just top stitch this along. And I didn't lengthen my stitch. Maybe I should have, because this fleece under there, the fusible fleece, which isn't fusible in my case, is a little heavy. It's a little bit thick. So I should have probably done it like a 3.0 stitch length on this, and this is a 2.5. Coming up to a pin. Go get my zipper pull completely out of the way so I don't have to worry about it. Okay, we're ready to just stitch right on off the end. I use my stiletto quite a bit. You may find that you can just use your hands, but I use my stiletto a lot. Okay, let's see what we got. Trim up our threads. Let's look at the back. There we go. There's the back. Looks pretty nice. All right. I like it. Yep, looks great. All right, now we're ready to work on the back of our little bag. I'm going to go ahead and baste my handle on while I'm here. Get that on there. Just get it tacked down. There we go. That's all it needs, is just tacked in place. Okay. Now we're ready to start on the back. Boy, I can see a lot of fun area here for embellishment. We might have to put some buttons or ribbon or something on here. Boy, this looks going to be fun. So I'm going to just trim this front. Whoops, it's a little slippery because there's pins underneath it. There we go. I just want to get it looking a little smoother along this front edge. I kind of need to see now where the edges are. So we'll just trim it. And that way I can see where everything is. Anyway, I hope I can. Okay, here we go. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to have as much off of there as I need to be able to see. So, okay, now we're going to work on the back. So you've got to make a decision. What fabric do you want to show through the window? Do you want your, I don't know, what would you call this? Main fabric, I guess. Or do you want that fabric? I like this. I like this the best. So here's how we are going to do this. I am going to go press this and put a little best press on it, and this one too. And when I come back, we'll sandwich these together. Here's my batting. We'll sandwich these together and we'll put this on, and then we're going to do some quilting with our BSR. All right, got my pressing done, and I have decided that I want this to show through the window. So I've put down my fleece and just put my fabric right on top. And if you want to, you could use a little spray based, but I don't think you need to. So we're putting that right side up, and we're going to put our bag on there. And you can mark the center if you want to, or eyeball it, which is what I'm doing. And then we're just going to clip that in place. And if you want to, you can baste this at an 1/8 or so, 1/4 inch across the top here, because we don't want this to shift at all. So let's make sure we're lined up good here. That's why I trimmed my sides. And so then this is going to be the outside back of my bag. So it's going to make a little zipper sandwich. So the inside and outside back are right sides together, you can see. And the zipper is sandwiched in between those two pieces of fabric. So I'm going to kind of center that and clip it in place. And then I'm going to go stitch this at 1/4 of an inch. I should baste it because there's quite a bit here with the batting, the fleece, but I'm going to be rogue today and just sew it. So I'll go stitch this at 1/4 of an inch. I'll be right back. So I've got this top stitched. I sewed my zipper on. Top stitched. Here's the front of the bag, so it'll look like this when we get it all together. And this is not a lined bag, so we're going to be using some binding on the inside, and we're going to box these corners and make it have a bottom so that it'll stand up. And that's the way the pattern is designed. And so our zipper will be on the top up here, and we'll be able to open and close our zipper, see what's in there. Everything looks so nice, front and back. And I did do the top stitching after I flipped everything down. So now this is what is going to be seen through the window. So this is going to be the top for my quilting, and I'm going to use my BSR. And I'm not sure what kind of design I'm going to put on here, but I might, you know, start here and go around and go around and just goof off. And you could also do diagonal quilting here. You could actually sew little buttons on all over the place, or even have the buttons on the back. You could do some kind of very light, not dense machine embroidery right here to quilt this all together. You could use your built-in machine embroidery stitches and do a little wave, or, you know, whatever. Turn and wave. You know, wave. But I'm going to use my BSR, and I'm just going to do a quick little thing. So I'm not going to put my slider on my table, and I'm not going to use my gloves because this isn't big enough to merit all that work to put, you know, get all set up for free motion quilting, because this is only going to be a few stitches. So I'm just going to go and quickly quilt this, and then we are almost ready to have some fun with the front. I'm going to do some things on the front of my bag. Okay, the back is all quilted. There's the other side. And there's the side we'll see. I started up here in this top corner, went across and all around, and then back across the bottom, and ended down here in this corner. Okay, now we're ready to put our little bag together. I mean, we're going to see here too. I want to put something on the front. This just looks like a palette to me for something pretty. So I'm going to think about that for a minute, and then I'm going to do something. These are little yo-yo templates. I think you can get them from Clover. They come in several sizes. I used to make yo-yo quilts, but I've put yo-yos on a lot of things that weren't quilts. I go kind of careful at it at first, and then once I get it going, I can get a little more manhandly with it, I guess you'd say. So I made one small and one large yo-yo. And I don't mind if my yo-yos don't land the little center thing. I don't mind at all if it doesn't land right on center, because I think that makes it kind of look really interesting and fun. And who doesn't like fun? Okay, and then I knock them on the back because this is what's going to go against my bag. Your little fun little curly part goes up and the flat part goes down. I got my little embellishments on here, but I got them a little bit close to the corner. I might have to move them, but it's okay if I do. It's not a big deal because they're just tacked on there, so. And we're going to just cut that out of there. And then we'll go ahead and put right sides together and stitch the sides in the bottom of our little bag. And we'll box the corners. I'll show you how to do that. It's real easy, especially when they're this little. They're very easy. So I'm just cutting out a square here. Do that over here, making sure everything's lined up. I want to cut my little yo-yo. I might fold it over and pin it out of the way too when I get ready to box the corners on this thing. Okay, we are ready. I'm going to move these pins a different direction so that I don't forget they're there and have a bad accident with them. Okay, so we'll put our little bag, we're going to put it right sides together and sew at 1/4 of an inch side seams and the bottom seam. Okay, there we go. And I usually try to line, I did try to line this up on the first little bag I made. Right here, I wanted it to be squared off, not one longer or taller than the other one, because it would look gorky. That's a sewing term, gorky. Yeah. You're going to be a bag maker, you've got to know all these wonderful sewing terms. Crinkly, gorky, wobbly. I don't know. There's a lot of them. Okay, I'm going to go sew the side seams in the bottom at 1/4 of an inch. So I did my side seams and I've trimmed a little bit. And I'm going to put a little binding on here before I box my corners. And I'm going to open my zipper. If you forgot to open your zipper, it'll just slide with your nail, but if you want to, you can open it part way before you start sewing your side seams. Well, when I get the binding on the sides, the way we're going to box the corners is just like this. And we're going to put one seam one way and one seam the other way, and we're going to stitch across here at 1/4 of an inch. But if you want to bind, you have to do that first. And another thing you can do is there are overcast stitches in your Bernina stitch library that you could use. You could also serge these edges. No problem. So I'm going to put a little binding on mine. And I'll be right back and we'll have our little bag all finished. This is the first bag that I made. It's got a thread on it I need to trim. And this one, I just did a cover stitch from like an overcast stitch that's on my Bernina, and just covered the edges on the inside, on the sides, and the bottom. And this is the 2 fat quarters that I used. So I've sort of reversed the colors and that. And this is the one we made today. And as I said, I put a little binding on the sides and on the bottom. And then I boxed the corners and I put a little binding on the corners. So now we're ready to turn this. And if your vinyl is a little non-pliable, you can warm it up with a hair dryer, and that makes it a little easier to turn. But I'm going to just turn it, and I put my fingers in the boxes on the boxed bottom of the bag, and just carefully and slowly give it a little encouragement and turn it right side out. And here's a little thing that you'll have to do. You'll need to use your fingers, and this one came up pretty good. This one isn't. But you'll need to use your fingers and pop this little zipper tab out. It's not hard to do, and you just sort of do a little movement with your wrist and pop it out. And there are my finished little what's in your bag bags. And as I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to use these for knitting, sock knitting project bags. But you could put notions in here. You could put a gift in here and use it as a gift box. You could put English paper piecing projects in here. Oh my goodness. There's makeup and toiletries. If you made this out of a camo, made this out of a manly fabric, you could even give this to a gentleman and for him to keep anything in. And, I hope you will make some of these. Be sure to go to the stitchinsisters.com and pick up your pattern. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to help. You can always message me or leave a comment here. They have many really fun patterns. And so, dig into your stash, or get a couple of cute fat quarters and a couple zippers, and have fun with this. And I wish you a joyful rest of your day.